how can the brand resonate that product with the Spanish customer? How can they communicate that?
So you need like a big brief to know the brand, what makes them unique.
What part of localization you will be using for AI and what part of localization you will be using a human?
If you want to really do very well in the country, you have to take into account on all of those variants.
What will be your advice for a brand who want to launch in the EU marketplace?
Ecom Squeezed podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Ecom Squeezed. I am your host, Sebastian, founder of Retail-Outsource. And today I'm joined by Oscar, a global communication strategist and international digital marketing expert who helps brands expand across borders through smart content, multilingual SEO, and AI-driven localization. Oscar has spent more than 15 years helping B2B and B2C customers make their message resonate with any market. He is the founder of Ontranslation, On Training, AB Localization, and host of Global Brands podcast. We are going to dive into how language, culture, and AI can unlock international growth. Oscar, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Sebastian. Thank you very much for the intro, and I'm very happy to be here.
That's a long intro. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of
super
things
long,
happening.
super long. Let us think. Yeah. Yeah, as we said off record, I like doing many different things, but as you can sort of like see, all of them go around communication and cross borders and culture, which I reckon are the three main aspects. Also for Amazon sellers and vendors that want to go and land in other markets.
Great. So my first question is that, when you help a brand, to make their message resonate, that's something that you mentioned on your profile, to resonate anywhere in the world in practice. What does that mean? What do you mean by resonate in exactly according to you?
Okay, well, what I mean by resonate or resonating is when you connect to someone at an emotional and level, okay? So you feel yourself pictured or you feel yourself appealed whenever you are reading one of those listings and you see that is what is happening to me. So you connect to that person at an emotional level. And that's what makes us unique humans, So if we want to connect with someone else and if we want to trust a foreign brand, you have to go and move someone and connect and resonate at an emotional level. So that's why, to me, culture is basic, or it should be the base on which you would develop your communication strategy.
Great, Oscar. And you're from Spain, right? So, for example, a brand, let's say a garlic press, it's quite famous on Amazon ecosystem. So if they want to launch on Amazon Spain, what are the things that you think, that will resonate with or unique about a Spanish buyer? How can the brand resonate that product with the Spanish customer? How can they communicate that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, as I say, what I like doing with all our clients is like a brief, okay? I have this saying that if there is no brief, there is no paradise. So you need like a big brief to know the brand, what makes them unique, and to know exactly what the product does. Because sometimes in order to make this or that other brand resonate in another country, you have to change the moment of use of the product. So you have to really know source culture and target culture and really know what the buyer personas are in the source. So maybe you can replicate that easy because they exist the very same way in the target culture. But sometimes that's not the case, or most of the times that's not the case. So you have to really adapt that moment of use analysis that I say, in marketing, that we have to really analyze when that product is going to be used in the source culture, and if that product is going to be used in the same moment in the target culture. Once you discover all these crisscross things, then you are able to appeal to the emotions in the target culture. There is a field in communication which is called intercultural communication, which I love.
I would like to know more.
And I'm very passionate about. So there are a lot of theories that you can apply to this exchange of feelings, or how you can actually trigger the target culture's audience feelings in order to really impact them and to make them trust your foreign brand. So I don't know if I have actually answered your question,
Yes,
but yeah.
you have. I know, for example, Italians, they are quite expressive, right? When they speak and everything, they are quite expressive. So if you take the thing interculture, could you explain what is that? How can a brand look into that aspect?
Okay, that is, I mean, now I'm not going to be, I mean, we could be speaking about this forever because it's, as I said, it's like a topic I really like. But like making it short, and just to mention someone like a very well-known author, there is this guy from Austria called Hofstede, which is like the grandfather of international communication. And he used to work in IBM in the 60s. So IBM in the 60s is like Google nowadays or Amazon nowadays, which is like this massive multinational super big company with people all over the world. So what this guy did was like he analyzed in 6 dimensions, in 6 categories. He analyzed all the cultures in the world, all the countries in the world. And so if you compare, for example, Spain to France or Spain to Italy or Spain to UK or whatever, you are given like different scores for these different 6 categories.
Wow.
And then you can really see, for example, that there are some cultures that they value most that a product can last longer than others, for example, or they value most that a product can be used for like with friends and family or with a group of people, or that can be used like sort of like alone and uniqueness. So it is all these values that make a society like a culture, If we know the source values of your own culture and then the target values of your target country, then you're able to even change the order of the bullet points in the listing. So in order to present the most important for that culture
Like it.
first. Okay. So whenever you do localization, and I'm sure we're going to be speaking later on, whenever we want to localize or to really do it smart localization from a listing from one culture to another, you have to take all these aspects into account, because maybe for us Spanish people, we do not really value that this product is recycle or recyclable. But if you go to Germany as a value of society, they do. So maybe my 5th bullet point translates into the first in their listing. So it's not just when you do translation like text, but also you have to do images, you have to do the order of bullet points. You have to really understand that you have to adapt that listing into a target culture to make it resonate, to make them trust you.
Yeah, that's very nice. I mean, I never thought that deep, that level of.
Oh yeah,
So it's kind of a
If you
different
want to do
level.
it, if you want to do it, if you want to do it like properly, I mean, there is a lot of work to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it pays off. I mean, it actually pays off because Amazon or other marketplaces, competition is fierce, especially nowadays. Maybe some years ago it was easier to, sell on Amazon. Nowadays it's a bit more difficult because we have loads of sellers and vendors there, like trying to catch your attention, also with PPC strategies, etc. So you have to make your listing stand out. And how you do this. So you have to really tick all the boxes.
Small boxes. Yes.
Small boxes, and then it's like your trust
Yes.
is like going up.
Great.
But that also depends on the culture, because for example, Spanish people, maybe we don't really care, although we sort of like do, but we don't really care much about, how nice the listing is, but we look into the money
Yeah.
side of things. But if you go to like the Nordics, for example, like Sweden or all those like more difficult countries sort of thing, they do check every single little mm, bullet point and information on the listing because they don't trust foreign brands. I mean, in general, so you have to build trust step by step
Yeah. Yeah.
with these little boxes that we were saying.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true, Oscar. And I think a lot of brands, what they normally do is that if they want to expand to Europe from UK, they will say, okay, we will just auto translate what's on English to, for example, in Spanish, and maybe throw someone just to proofread it locally. That's kind of the max. They don't go to the depth that you just mentioned to
Hmm?
prioritize what a local market need or
Yeah.
looking for. So that's a very good point that you have brought up.
Yeah, and especially if you want to really also do like a really good job, then you need to do a keyword research, which, as you know, it doesn't work if you translate keywords. You have to use like Helium 10 or whatever tool you're using in order to discover what's the intent in that market, because for example, we Spanish people, we are not looking for a product the same way than French people do, sorry, because our cultural expectations are different from theirs. So you have to take into account all those little things. Obviously, and now it is like also like opening like the window of the AI. If you have loads and loads and loads and loads of like asins, thousands of asins, you cannot do like this super depth analysis per asin because otherwise it's going to cost you loads of money. So you can now, thanks to AI and thanks to really training AI and to really telling AI what to do from a linguistic and cultural perspective, you can really get like really good results. And if Oscar from last year would be listening to us, he wouldn't believe me, I have changed my mind across time about AI. I started like saying, oh, AI is nothing, then moved into, oh my God.
Yeah,
And now I'm just like super happy because we are using it as a tool, to actually scale up and do like proper listing localization, like at scale.
great, Oscar. And if let's say if a brand want to establish and launch in Europe, and they came to you, and what are the main things that you normally look into? Let's say a few points in terms of audit.
We would, as I said before, brief
Yeah, brief
first,
first. Yeah,
okay? Then we would go into competition. What is top 10 organic doing? How do they communicate? Are they native brands or foreign brands? What are the strategies they are having in place? Sort of like PPCs, or are they doing SEO? Which keywords? And then something which is like very, but as I said before, which is like very stupid, but it is very very important, is the moment of use. So is my product gonna be used the same way in that target country? Because sometimes we try to sell, I don't know, water filters to people in the Netherlands when they have their water as a national pride. So it's like,
yeah,
I mean, what's the point, no? Or something like very stupid like this. So we need to really know what is going to be happening there in the target country. And then once you have all this, then you get into like keyword research and native keyword research, and then you actually start adapting, or as we say in linguistics, we transcreate the listings, which is you localize and do copywriting at the same
that's a
time.
new word, transcreate for me.
Transcreation, yeah.
Transcreation.
So transcreation is like it is like a service which is in between marketing and translation, which is a mix of localization and copywriting. And this is what you use for slogans, for example, that if you translate them doesn't make sense. Or this is what you do with actual listings that you need to use new keywords that were not present in the original, or that you need to reorder the bullet points, or that you need to introduce information to make it resonate to the target. So that's actually the service that you would be asking for if you want to really make your listing proper
Yeah.
in that.
Great. And Oscar, you mentioned about AI. You started using AI. So, if you want to localize, a listing or a website, what part of localization you will be using for AI, and what part of localization you will be using a human? So, I think it will be a hybrid at the end of the day. So how do you separate them?
Yeah. That also depends on not only on the type of content,
Okay.
okay, but also on the market, because as I said before, cultural expectations vary depending on the market. So Germans or the Nordics, they would expect super good quality as regards to language and cultural expectations. So you would tend to use more human work for those targets. But maybe Latin countries or Italian, it's not it is Latin.
Yeah.
It comes from Latin. So maybe Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish are easier to please. So you can use more AI without proofreading on those. But it actually depends also on the number of ASINs that you're working with. Because if you have 1,000 ASINs, I mean, in order to scale that and to make it profitable, maybe you need to do like an 80 rule, that you focus on doing like a super good job on your 20% of your listings that is actually driving profit to you, and then you're doing AI with the rest of the 80%. So it actually depends on the projects. You cannot really make it like a general assumption about what to do when localizing. So
Great.
So you need to actually see. So that's why the brief is so important.
Yeah.
And as I said, no brief, no paradise.
Great. Yeah. True. I agree with you. And Oscar, for this, most of the companies, they have slogans, brand slogans and stuff like that. But normally they don't think into, when they start, for example, in UK, they don't think into expanding to other countries. But that slogan might be offensive in certain countries. So do you have any examples that you have seen?
Examples. I have examples using Spanish,
Yeah.
which is like when I teach at the university, I use them. But for English, I don't have
No, any other
any
way
examples.
on the return
Let me
as well,
think.
it's fine. From Spanish to English, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there is like a lot of like even brand names, naming is also like one of those tricky little, not so little thing that you have to take into account when doing cross borders, because maybe the name of your company sounds amazing in one country, but then it sounds really offensive in another, no? We have like the typical car company. I think it was like from Spain that wanted to go to no, or it was like Japanese that wanted to came to Spain, and it was like Nissan. I think Nissan is Japanese.
Yeah,
No?
yeah.
I'm not a car man. So in any case, they have this brand called Nissan Pajero, and Pajero is like a really not. You don't want that on your brand.
Yeah.
So you have to take into account all these, no? Because sometimes communication and all these aspects are more treated or are more dealt with as an afterthought. But I think that you have to think about this from the very beginning of your brand conception, especially if you want, or if you want to have your company expanding cross borders.
Yeah.
So you have to take into account that from the very beginning,
Yeah.
no? Because otherwise, it's a bit.
Yeah, you invest so much money on the brands and the images,
Yeah,
trademarks, and when
yeah.
the time to expand, you're kind of stuck. So yeah, that's a very good point. Brands need to really focus on plan ahead, well ahead on the expanding side and things. And you mentioned about localization. So Oscar, do you normally do an A/B testing as well? Different variation of that localization, and then test it and then see what the customers actually wanted. And if you can give some examples as well, please.
Yeah, actually, I think you mentioned it earlier. I have a side project which is called AB Localization, actually, which is a SaaS. It was actually like the beginning was to test or to the user or the client would introduce a text from his or her website, whether it is a headline and a paragraph, or whether it is a product description page content. And then you would specify your target country and you would answer some brief questions in order to know what's your buying persona in the source, etc. And then out of that, A/B localization gives you two localized versions of your text ready for you to do an A/B testing.
Okay.
So actually, or usually, version A is like a very good localization, like everyone could get whatever. But B is the one that is given more cultural layers. So it actually tends to convert more the B version that the A/B localization gives you tends. And we started like this as I said, side project for e-commerce. But now we are using it also for listings, for Amazon listings. So whenever we think a client could be benefiting from doing A/B testing, we go and use A/B localization for certain ASINs and listings. So you can do an A/B testing on Amazon platform.
Okay. So just to be clear, so you will provide the different version and the client have to do the testing on a third party.
Yes. Yeah.
So even within Amazon or a third party, like Big Four.
Yes.
Product opinion.
We have it on the roadmap.
Okay.
To be able to do the testing on our own.
Find the local people and then test it. Okay.
Yes, on our own software. But nowadays, what you get is you fill out this form, and then you get an email with the two versions. You test them on your side using your tools, and then you can vote which version converted more. And this voting trains your. So if you are always voting for version B, that would be very, very good because the more you use it, the better the results, obviously. So this is actually what we are now. But we have lots of things to do because, as I said, I have like so many side things that is like very difficult to focus on just one thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Which you have on translation, on training. We didn't talk about that, but A/B localization, we talked about that.
Yeah, I have on training, which is a communication skills and languages school for companies. I mean, if you're a company and you want to train your staff, you can come to us and we would give you like training programs, whatever, for your staff. Also A/B localization, but also something which is not on LinkedIn, but I launched in August. It's called bokton.com. And it is through AI, and then you give it the name of one of your favorite books and the author, and it gives you a Spotify playlist based on the atmosphere of the book. And it's so interesting. And it's already like working quite a lot with book clubs and also university teachers and everything, and people like themselves that want to keep on feeling the book without reading it. So it gives you like a really amazing playlist of inspired by the themes of the book.
Yeah.
So
So we have so many companies.
So as you can see, many different things.
So many companies. But with all those companies, what have you learned about building a team that think global?
Yeah, I mean, building a team is difficult. Okay, it is. I love it because I studied human resources as well some time ago. So I love like recruiting and training and all these things. And when you build a team like an international team, something that you have to take into account, as I said before, is intercultural communication. Everyone's from different countries. They expect things to be done, to be said, to be explained in a different way. So you have to take into account what the other person is expecting to be treated in order to tell them, like, I mean, please do this, please do that, whatever. So you have to take into account all those intercultural aspects if you want to really be like an international team. Because otherwise, sometimes, even with the Spanish itself, for example, Spain Spanish, Colombian Spanish, although we speak Spanish, we are two very different cultures. So whenever we say yes, maybe they don't understand yes, and it is the same word.
Yeah.
So you have to really take into account all these little, not so little values that I said before. And so imagine talking about, I don't know, person from the US and a person from Japan, for example. No? It's got nothing to do. And so you have to take really into account all this.
Yeah, it's quite in depth. After talking with you, I can feel that it's quite in depth. This localization thing, it goes much further, much deeper. And for Amazon sellers, Oscar, Amazon does auto translate a lot of listing. Sometimes by default, even they don't realize it. I want to ask, how good is that? How good, in terms of 1 out of 10, how do you rate it? I know it's bad, but how bad?
It depends on the language,
Okay.
obviously, like always. The machine translation from Amazon, out of 10, I would say 5. I mean, it's not good at all.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember when they opened Sweden some years ago. I think it was like 2-3 years ago. They opened Amazon Sweden.
Yeah.
And it was on the news that they really, I mean, I could send you the news or the piece of news, or if the audience wants to look for it. When Amazon opened in Sweden, it was, I mean, like this scandal because they were using machine translation and it was doing like really poor translation, like using really bad words instead of like using the ones that they should be using.
Yeah.
And so it was on the news in Sweden and all over Europe, like, hey, hold on. I mean, how comes you are opening a new country and your machine translation is doing so badly, no? So you have to take into account that the trust that you are giving to yourself, to your own brand, whenever you go across borders. So you have to take into account at least a minimum proofreading.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like a high ticket product. I mean, I have seen like, I don't know, €100 products with a really poor translation.
Yeah.
How comes?
It's terrible. It's terrible.
So yeah, people have to really think about, and give communication the importance it deserves.
Yeah, true. I agree with you, Oscar. And for yourself, which all countries do you support to localize within Europe?
We work with all European countries and also Asian countries.
Oh, Asian countries. Okay.
Yeah. So because we apart from Amazon, we do e-commerce, and so we can help clients that want to go cross borders anywhere, almost anywhere. We say we work per project, so not two projects are the same. So maybe we need to collaborate with someone from Vietnam. We have just like handed over a project for a Vietnamese company, and I don't have any idea about Vietnamese or Vietnamese culture, whatever. So we had to obviously get like collaborators from Vietnam in order to make it like. So it depends on the country.
Okay. And I want to ask you about the packaging. So we talked about listing. So what about packaging? So does the same logic applies? Certain points or certain use cases you have to give priority. So you have to mention that on the packaging. Can you give us an example on the packaging side?
Yeah, packaging. I mean, you know that for some verticals, it is mandatory to have it in the local country language, especially for example, it's like supplements and all those. Obviously, you need to really do like a really good job on the packaging because you are spending lots of money on printing, no? whenever, for example, within Europe, sometimes what we advise our clients is, to make them stand out and make them different from Chinese sellers, we tell them to put like a European flag, like designed in Europe or produced in Europe, even on the listing title.
Okay.
Made in Europe. So even better, it depends. Sometimes if it is made in France, for French people, it is better to say made in France than made in Europe. So you have to really see what's the idea on that. But for example, also for the packaging you have to take into account that, it's going to go national. So maybe if you have like a multilingual packaging, so you have to take into account where and to put the flags, or if you don't want to use a flag and you want to use like an ISO lettering, like or FR, etc., because flags in localization are not very well seen. For example, when you see a website with different flags, that's not good. That's not good practice. So it is much better to see the actual name of the language, because in one country you can have like different languages. So that's why you wouldn't use a flag. So that's these little things now that you have to take into account.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, Oscar. And about you mentioned about different languages. I think Belgium, for example, they have 3 different languages, right? The French side.
Yeah.
I think Dutch and German. It's a mix of 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, it's Flemish. No, it's not. Not even called Dutch. So it's like a variant, no, of Dutch. So we have clients like, I don't know if you know the brand Hawaiianas, which is like a Brazilian brand for flip-flops.
Yes.
So we did like an adaptation of their Dutch e-commerce for Flemish. So there are brands that they actually go that deep, obviously Hawaiianas is like a really big brand. No? So if you want to really do very well in one country, you have to take into account all of those variants.
Yes, true. And Oscar, my last question will be, what will be your advice for a brand who want to launch in the EU marketplace?
First thing, as I said, brief. Sit down and don't run. Don't do it really quickly. Try to think not from your side, but from the target's side of things, and do some research first, or get someone to help you. Because if you want to do it okay, and if you want to do it like cost effectively, you cannot be spending or wasting money on doing one thing and then, oh my god, I did it wrong, and then you have to do it again. Like, for example, the naming, or all those little things that we have already said. So first, have a coffee, a virtual coffee with someone, and then let's get into it.
Yeah, that's good. And Oscar, thanks a lot for coming down. And I never thought that deep. I was kind of a guy who said, okay, hybrid translation mission plus proofreading, that's the max in my mind when I thought about it. But after speaking with you, I think I've changed it.
That's the minimum.
I've changed it now. I changed my mind. So, I think the viewers will be the same. Most of the people will not go that kind of depth. So appreciate you coming down.
You don't need to, maybe. You don't need to. It depends on, as I said, how many ASINs you have.
Yeah.
If you have 10 ASINs, come on, go as deep as you can.
Yeah.
But if you have 1,000, maybe, or 2,000 or 5,000, you need to do, as I said, like the 80-20 rule, whatever. And then with AI, you can do things really well. As long as you train AI with the right things, you can do things properly.
Great.
I never said so.
Great. Thanks a lot, Oscar. Appreciate your time. And, where can the viewers find you? Do you offer any like a discovery call, like the briefing that you mentioned a few times?
Yeah, sure. If any of your viewers contact me through LinkedIn, I'm very active. Every day I try. If they contact me through LinkedIn saying that they have been listening to this amazing episode, they can have a 30 minutes brief in order to start like seeing about their brand, and we could do like a mini audit and for free. So go and get my LinkedIn, and yeah,
Great. So
I hope.
I will put all the link in the show notes. So please do check it out. So there'll be LinkedIn profile, and I will also include the website link as well. So please do contact Oscar if you are really serious about launching the brand in the Europe.
Fantastic.
All right.
So I will be waiting to be looking forward to helping your audience.
Fantastic. All right, then thanks a lot, Oscar. Appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot for having me, and it's been a pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.